Your mother must really love you, Bode whispered into Titi's ear, his breath warm and soft against her skin. Titi giggled, feeling a tickle in her ear, and turned to look at her mother. Mama Titi sat alone at a beautiful adorned table, her face streaked with tears that washed away her makeup. She seemed lost in her own world, oblivious to the celebration around her. She really does, Titi replied, a hint of pride in her voice. I'm her only child. In that case, thank God the white wedding is next week, Bode teased, leaning closer. She still has you for a few more days. The hall where Bode and Titi's traditional wedding was being held buzzed with quiet murmurs. All eyes were on Mama Titi, who was clearly distressed, but didn't seem to care or noticed. Her pain evident, yet no one could grasp its source. This marriage can't happen, Mama Titi suddenly declared, rising from her seat with a resolve that silenced the room. Gasps echoed through the hall as she turned and walked out, leaving a trail of stunned guests behind. She must really love her daughter, someone whispered, but the words felt hollow, a poor attempt to explain what they had just witnessed. As Mama Titi drove home, her mind raced with thoughts, each more frantic than the last. The wheels were in motion. She had made up her mind. Later that night, Titi laid in bed, her voice light and happy as she talked to Bode on the phone. The day's events had done little to dampen her joy, but a sense of unease lingered just beneath the surface. Her mother barged into the room, her face a storm of emotions. Titi, hang up, we need to talk, she demanded, her tone sharp and unyielding. Mom, it's Bode, Titi replied with a puzzled smile. Do you want to say I? I said hang up now. Mama Titi's voice was still, broken no argument. The sudden change in her mother's demeanor sent a jolt of fear through Titi, a feeling she had never associated with the woman who had always been a rock. Titi hesitated, confusion clouding her mind. What could possibly be so urgent, and why was her mother, usually so calm and composed, now trembling with barely contained emotion? I think this wedding is happening too fast, Titi, her mother began. Cancel the white wedding. Titi stared at her mother, still trying to process what she had just heard. Mama, you can't be serious, she said, her voice laced with disbelief. You want me to cancel the white wedding because the weather might be bad? Mama Titi nodded. Yes, Titi. Have you seen the weather forecast? They are predicting rain, and you know how bad the roads get when it rains. What if people can't make it, or worse, what if your dress gets ruined? Titi blinked, astonished. Mama, it's August in Lagos. A little rain isn't going to stop a wedding. We have tents, umbrellas, everything we need. Mama Titi shook her head stubbornly. It's not just the rain, Titi. What about the color scheme? You chose white and gold, but I've been thinking maybe those colors aren't lucky. You should have gone with red and green. Those are better for warding off evil spirits. Titi's jaw dropped. Red and green, Mama. This isn't Christmas. And since when do we believe in evil spirits? Mama Titi stood her ground. It's not about belief. Titi, it's about precaution. Better safe than sorry. And what about the guest list? There are too many people. Someone might bring negative energy. We need to cut it down. Or better yet, not have the wedding at all. Titi's patient was wearing thin. Negative energy, Mama. Everyone on that list is family or a close friend. You helped me invite them. Why are you bringing all this up now? Mama Titi's eyes flashed with desperation. I'm just trying to protect you, Titi. You know, white weddings are too Western. They are not even part of our tradition. Why not just stick with the traditional wedding we had today? It's more meaningful. Titi drew her hands in frustration. We already had the traditional wedding, Mama. The white wedding is next, and it's important to me and Bode. You were excited about it before. What changed? Mama Titi avoided her daughter's gaze, her voice trembling. I just have a bad feeling, Titi. Maybe it's intuition, or maybe I'm just worried about you. But something doesn't feel right about this white wedding. Titi stared at her mother, her emotions swelling between anger and concern. Mama, These reasons don't make sense. You're talking about colors, weather, and guest lists. Like they are life or death. If something's really bothering you, just tell me. But don't try to sabotage my wedding with these excuses. Mama Titi's face twisted with frustration. You think these are excuses? You think I'm just making things up? Fine! Go ahead and have your white wedding. But don't say I didn't warn you when things go wrong. Titi's temper had fled. Mama, this isn't about warning or superstitions. This is about you trying to control something that's already been decided. I love you, but I won't let you ruin this for me. The room fell silent as both women stood facing each other, breathing heavily, the hair thick with tension. Mama Titi's eyes filled with tears, but she quickly wiped them away, refusing to let them fall. You don't understand, Titi, Mama Titi whispered, her voice breaking. You think this is just about the wedding, but it's more than that. I'm scared of losing you. Titi's anger softened at the sight of her mother's vulnerability. She took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. Mama, you're not going to lose me. Bode and I are getting married, but that doesn't mean I stop being your daughter. We can have both the wedding and our bond. Please, trust me. Mama Titi looked at her daughter, torn between the truth and what her daughter thought to be the truth. After a long pause, she nodded slowly. I want you to be happy, Titi. Titi stepped forward and hugged her mother tightly. I know, Mama, but trust me, everything will be okay. Deep down, Mama Titi resolved to try even harder at stopping the wedding prevailed. As they held each other, the tension began to ease, but the unease in Mama Titi's heart remained, buried under layers of love and fear. The next morning, Mama Titi was up early, her mind set on a new plan. She couldn't let the white wedding go ahead, not after the gnawing unease that had taken root in her heart. If Titi wouldn't listen to reason, then maybe Bode would. After all, he was a sensible young man, or so she hoped. Mama Titi arrived at Bode's apartment, unannounced. Bode, who was in the middle of ironing a shirt, was startled when he opened the door, to find her standing there, her expression a mix of determination and something else he couldn't quite place. Mama, good morning, Bode greeted, trying to mask his surprise. Is everything alright? Bode, we need to talk, Mama Titi said, brushing past him into the apartment. She wasn't one for small talk when something was on her mind. Bode followed her into the living room, setting the iron aside. Of course, Mama, what's on your mind? Mama Titi turned to face him. Her eyes serious. Bode, I've been thinking about this white wedding, and I don't think it's necessary. In fact, I think it would be better if we don't have it at all. Bode raised an eyebrow, his confusion evident. Mama, what do you mean? Titi and I have been planning this for months. It's important to us. Mama Titi sighed dramatically, as if she had expected him to be difficult. Bode, you are a Christian. I know that. But think about it. Aren't you already married? The traditional wedding is the real wedding in our culture. You've fulfilled all the rites, and the ancestors have blessed the union. Why do you need to do it all over again? Bode frowned, trying to understand her logic. Mama, the traditional wedding is very important, but the white wedding is also part of our commitment. It's not just a ceremony. It's about us standing before God and our community, making our vows. Mama Titi waved her hand dismissively. Bode, am I not a Christian too? Have I not been an usher in church for the past 15 years? I know all about standing before God, and let me tell you, you and Titi are already married in the eyes of God. The traditional wedding counts just as much, if not more. Bode smiled, appreciating her passion, but he wasn't swayed. Mama, I respect your position in the church, and I respect our traditions, but the white wedding is important to me as a Christian man. It is a way for us to dedicate our marriage to God, in the way I've always envisioned. Mama Titi scoffed, shaking her head in disbelief. Bode, you're young, so maybe you don't see it yet, but these white weddings are just for show. You think God needs all this fanfare? No, Bode, what matters is that you and Titi love each other, and that has already been sealed. Do you think God didn't see the traditional wedding? Bode chuckled, trying to keep the conversation light. Mama, it's not about fanfare. It's about honoring our faith and our union. The white wedding is a chance for us to celebrate with everyone, including those who couldn't make it to the traditional wedding. Mama Titi eyes narrowed playfully. Celebrate, you say? Isn't that what we did yesterday? Did we not dance, eat, and thank God already? What more celebration do you need? Or is it that you want another excuse to wear a fancy suit and show off, eh? But they laughed, shaking his head. Mama, you know it's not about showing off. It's about completing what we've started. The white wedding is the final step, the one that makes it official in our community and before God. Mama Titi wasn't giving up that easily. She leaned forward, her voice taking on a conspiratorial tone. But then let me tell you something. Do you know that in the old days, people didn't need all these ceremonies? A man would bring yam and wine to the girl's family, and that was it. Marriage done. Now we're adding all these extra things. Why complicate what's already simple? But they smiled, knowing she was pulling out all the stops. Mama, I understand where you're coming from. But things have changed, and the times have too. And tradition has evolved. The white wedding is our way of bringing together the old and the new, honoring both our cultures and our faiths. Mama Titi sighed, pretended to surrender, but with a mischievous glint in her eye. Alright, buddy, if you insist on this white wedding, I won't stand in your way, but just remember, when it rains cats and dogs and everyone is soaked through, don't say I didn't warn you. But they chuckled, relieved that she seemed to be easing off. Mama, I'll keep that in mind, and I promise we will have plenty of umbrellas just in case. You do that, buddy, but don't forget, no matter what happens, you'll always be my son-in-law. And if the white wedding goes wrong, I'll be the first to remind you that you could have avoided it. But they grinned, walking her to the door. Thank you, Mama, I appreciate your concern, and I promise the wedding will be perfect. As Mama Titi left, but they couldn't help but laugh to himself. He knew she meant well, but he was determined to stand his ground. Little did he know, Mama Titi wasn't done yet. She had a few more tricks up her sleeve, and the next few days were going to be anything but smooth sailing. The long-awaited day of the white wedding finally arrived, and it seemed as though Lagos itself had decided to conspire against Body and Titi's big day. From the moment the sun peeked over the horizon, nothing had gone according to plan. First, the makeup artists were stuck in traffic for hours, causing Titi to frantically do her own makeup, smudging her eyeliner in the process. Then, the caterer called to say that half the food was delayed due to an accident on the Third Mainland Bridge, leaving the reception menu woefully incomplete. The worst, however, was the rain. Torrential, relentless, and completely unseasonal. The weather forecast had promised clear skies, but instead, the heavens opened up, drenching the beautiful outdoor setup that Body and Titi had painstakingly planned. Guests huddled under hastily erected tents, their bright clothes dampened their spirits low. Body, in his finely tailored suit, tried to keep a smile on his face, but the stress was showing. He paced nervously near the entrance of the church, wiping raindrops off his shoes for the uptenth time. Meanwhile, Titi was inside the bridal suit, desperately trying to salvage her hair, which had frizzled in the humidity. Her nerves were frayed, but she was determined to push through. But there was one major problem. Mama Titi was nowhere to be found. She had been unusually quiet during the morning preparation, but no one could have predicted she would disappear entirely. Calls to her phone went straight to voicemail, and no one had seen her since early morning. Titi was worried, but she tried to reassure herself that her mother was just taking a moment to gather her thoughts. The church was packed to capacity with guests, the murmur of their voices barely drowned out by the drumming rain on the roof. The pastor was ready, the choir was in position, and the ceremony was set to begin. Yet an air of unease hung over the congregation as they waited for Mama Titi. As the time tickled on, the ushers finally decided to proceed without her. The organist began playing the bridal march, and Titi, despite her nerves, took a deep breath and started down the aisle, walking alone. But they watched her approach, his heart swelling with love and pride. even as a nagging anxiety gnawed at the back of his mind. The ceremony progressed, but the unease grew stronger. The pastor's words about love and commitment echoed through the church, but there was a tension that everyone felt. Where was Mama Titi? Why hadn't she shown up? Finally, the moment arrived for the pastor to ask the fateful question. If there's anyone here who knows of any reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now or forever hold your peace. The silence that followed was deafening. The rain pounded against the church windows, and Titi squeezed Bode's hand, praying that nothing will ruin their moment. Suddenly, the back doors of the church burst open with a loud crash. Every head in the room turned, and gasps echoed through the aisles. There, standing in the doorway, drenched from head to toe and dressed in nothing but an old floral patterned sleeping gown, was Mama Titi. She looked wild. Her hair a mess, her face bare of makeup and her expression one of grim determination. She marched down the aisle, her steps squishing in the soaked carpet. As shocked guests whispered among themselves, "Mama!" Titi gasped, her heart pounding. "What are you doing?" The pastor blinked in disbelief, unsure of how to proceed. But his face paled, a mix of confusion and dread washing over him. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Mama Titi reached the front of the church and turned to face the congregation, her voice shaking with emotion, but loud enough for all to hear. "I object," she declared, her voice cutting through the stunned silence. "This wedding cannot go on." The room erupted into chaos. People stood, murmuring in shock, some trying to calm Mama Titi, others pulling out their phones to capture the drama. "Mama, what is this?" Titi's voice cracked, her eyes filling with tears. "Why are you doing this?" Mama Titi's eyes were wild, her words tumbling out in a rush. "Because, Titi, you will die." Hey besties! Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate your support. I don't take it for granted. If you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Please subscribe already. On this channel, I currently have a membership program going on, and it's just for a little fee. You get exclusive perks that not just anybody gets. You get to tell me the kind of stories, titles, topics you want to see, and I take them as priority. You also get to be the first person to see my new uploads before any other person, and sneak peeks of my behind the scenes projects. So anytime you're waiting for a new video and I haven't uploaded, just check out my other videos. I'm sure you'll find something you like. And as always, I'll see you in my next video. Bye besties! Mwah.